Hello, cyberspace. It is I, Terracin, your favorite cyber bitch here, and tonight's title is The Musketeers. Florida man impersonating police officer pulls over an undercover detective. Title is So, yeah, we'll get to that in just a minute. And I have with me tonight, as always, my baby brother, Chunky Monkey.
No, that was great.
And I also have with me the infamous The Next 6 Minutes.
Good evening, everybody.
And so, how are y'all today?
Well, I'm doing all right.
Okay, I had a just woke up from a nap actually, and I had this really interesting dream where um, uh, so I was given a ride home, or I was getting a ride somewhere by my sister and a friend of hers, and I happened to fall asleep, and I take I take a really long nap, and then I wake up somewhere in the desert, like it's like out in the painted desert or something like that. And I found it very startling. And they had taken me to some kind of music festival at some place out in the desert that doubled as a hotel and an ice rink. And as I was trying to get my bearings and stuff like that. Um, so not really appreciating the new the sort of new venue, the new setting, the new place setting. As I yeah, it's kind of a strange thing where I wake up at a music festival and there's my nephew and an older friend of theirs, and it's like hey man, how do you feel like being at something or other fest? And it's like, well, I didn't exactly plan to be here, and so on and so forth, and just griping and grousing. Anyway, um, so yeah, that was kind of a weird sort of dream, and sometimes I like to try to interpret dreams, and it's it's a funny old thing because I've never really been able to successfully interpret dreams because most of my dreams are kind of out there or sort of like mundane sort of thing, like where I sit around and close envelopes for the entirety of it. So it's sort of, I don't know. I just happened. So I felt like sharing that.
Sorry, I'm shilling as fast as I can at the moment.
Chill, chill, chill. Oh, speaking of shilling, I have a new T-shirt design I have in my T Public, and it's I finally got this design done because I had gone through a number of different concepts and permutations and stuff like that. And I finally settled on something actually fairly simple. I was going way too elaborate, way too elaborate. So I just did just a simple analog clock design, and it's for the saying that most people who know me know I say this fairly often, but in case people are hearing for it for just for the first time, uh, it's something that I like to say when I've been working long hours, and I look at the clock, and I find that it's a lot earlier than I feel it should be. So I often remark to myself or to others, it's too late to be this early. So that's my new T-shirt design, and you could find it at my T Public store.
How much does it cost you to do that, or is it like Redbubble where it doesn't cost anything
It
until the product's made?
It doesn't cost anything, and they take a cut.
Okay. Might have to look into that because
Yeah.
I might have to use that design you made for me.
Okay. Yeah, that's Redbubble, TeePublic, Teespring. There's a lot. There's a lot of outfits that do much the same thing. Is that you send a design in, and they take a cut of the proceeds whenever somebody orders it.
Okay, sounds good to me. Now, if I could just get people to buy my shit.
So that's a tough part.
Yeah.
That is the tough part. Oh, I found my other flash drive. Yay! I'm finding lots of cool stuff recently. Found one flash drive, then I found the other flash drive, then I found another flash drive. And life is like a series of found flash drives, where you find lots of interesting stuff that you have been working on in the past, and so on and so on and so forth. Yeah. Oh wow! I found lots of my old stuff. That's cool. That's cool. I shall remember that. I shall remember that. Oh, well, yeah. I found. Hey,
What'd you find?
I found. I found your old GI Joe backer card thing.
Oh, okay.
That's on this flash drive. That's cool. Good to know. Good to know.
And knowing is half the battle.
GI Joe. Cool. 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 Cool.
All right, so who's ready for the article of the night?
Read
Is this
forth.
the false cop?
Florida man impersonating police officer pulls over undercover detective. A Florida man pretending to be a police officer was arrested after attempting to pull over an undercover detective. Matthew Harris was arrested on charges of impersonating a public officer when he flipped on red and blue lights attached to his SUV in Plant City, Florida. The 26-year-old was reportedly attempting to get through traffic and pass the car in front of him, which happened to be an unmarked police vehicle operated by an undercover detective. Rather than pulling over, the Hillsborough County Sheriff's detective called dispatchers, who then had deputies track down Mr. Harris. After unknowingly attempting to pull over the detective, he was booked at the Hillsborough County Jail, where he posted a $2,000 bail. Mr. Harris, who reportedly works as a senior dismantler at a salvage yard, told the actual authorities he installed systems similar to that of police vehicles in order to cut through traffic. He was driving a white 2007 Chevrolet when the incident occurred, according to the police report. The report said that the lights were used to convey the appearance of a law enforcement officer and attempted to conduct a traffic stop. Mr. Harris turned on the lights at an intersection while behind an unmarked police car before eventually merging into the middle lane and passing the detective, the Tampa Bay Times reported.
Ah.
I thought he was going to try and get some money out of the guy he was trying to pull over.
Okay, a Facebook post by the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office says, "Whoops. When 26-year-old Matthew Joseph Harris decided to play cop, turn on his red and blue lights, and pull somebody over, he had no idea the other driver was a real undercover Hillsborough County Sheriff's Officer detective. Deputies in real traffic stops on Harris. They found an airsoft pistol under his passenger seat. Harris is now facing a charge of impersonating a law enforcement officer. It is unclear how many times he has done this in the past. Anyone who recognizes his vehicle and believes they may have been a victim should contact the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office.
Yeah, there's a lot. This actually happens more often than you might think. A lot of these guys, yeah, they do it for the same reason this Eris guy did. Others are looking to rape women and steal
Or extort money.
Oh,
or
damn it.
yeah, extort money.
Like, pulls someone over and says, okay, this is how much the fine will cost you, but if you pay me up front, I'll forget this ever happened.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what the guy looks like.
Ooh. Did he look the part?
Yeah, that looks like somebody who might
live in Florida. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
Is it just me, or does he look asymmetrical?
A little bit, yeah. Like he's like he's
Hey,
a
there's a
black.
part about the Saudi Arabia crucifying someone.
You have the story with you right now, or
No, it was one of the articles that she's going through.
okay.
Like, they executed 37 people in one day. One of them was crucified.
Yeah, it's a video. Let's see here. Trying to see what else we can find. Warren unveils $640 billion college debt forgiveness plan. Where do I get the feeling that wouldn't actually work?
That won't actually work.
Exactly.
Well, as long as people insist on getting useless degrees. Yeah.
All right. Another Florida deal. Well played. Police speed trap foiled by anonymous plywood sign, officers say. All it took was some scrap wood and paint to foil Florida deputies trying to catch drivers speeding last week. The Collier County Sheriff's Office shared on Facebook that deputies had set up a speed enforcement operation in the Golden Gate Estates, east of Naples, in response to a citizen's request. After waiting some time, deputies noticed something. No one was speeding. Traffic was steady, so why had they identified just one driver who was traveling over the speed limit, the officer said. Once the operation concluded, the officers noticed a sign less than a mile up the road from where they had tried to catch drivers. Police ahead, the sign said in bright neon orange letters. Well played, anonymous sign artist, the officer said online. Well played. The sheriff's office shared an image of the warning resting against a 45-mile-an-hour police sign or speed sign. Here's the picture.
Yeah.
Comments on to the post questions motives of both deputies and drivers. So what you're telling us is that a homemade sign did more to deter speeding than several cops did, one commenter asked. Dwayne Vick. He suggested that officers keep that homemade sign and place it at random places throughout the county, even if you don't plan an enforcement detail there.
Yeah. That's let me just put it this way. When you see a police car parked anywhere along the road, your immediate instinct is to check your speed and adjust accordingly, because things like that are a deterrent, and it's a much better deterrent than in my opinion, than say enforcement does. Because let me tell you this, I grew up in an area where there was a lot of small towns clustered around, you know, it's a rather small general area, a lot of small towns. In each one of these small towns, they had speed traps. Now, anybody that traveled in that area would know that there are speed traps. But the problem is that everybody has lapses in concentration. Everybody has like lapses in memory and stuff, and people that their minds wander even when they're in an area where they know, hey, if I'm driving just a couple of miles above the speed limit, I'm still going to get pulled over. Whether or not the cop actually decides to give me a speeding ticket is kind of up to the cop. But yeah, a lot of people get pulled over in those speed traps. So much so that it gives them the incentive. The cops there gives them an incentive because, well, hey, um, these communities don't really bring in a lot of money. That they're not big money drawing communities. So the police departments, they kind of have the speed traps to for speeding tickets. People pay the speeding tickets. They make a little cashola there. That's kind of a stereotype of small towns.
Pretty much. We have that here with a town called Waldo.
Hmm. Now people know that there are these kind of towns are speed traps, yet they speed through anyway. Why? Because they have no visual triggers. If they had visual triggers like, hey, cops ahead, or even if the cop isn't even in the car, just having the car parked there um, ahead of the speed zone, people will slow down because we're a very visual species, well, at least most of us anyway. And yeah, if you're relying on memory alone, then that's law of averages say that's not always gonna fly, but visual cues will because they trigger those memories and they say it really brings it up to the forefront. Hey, you got to pay attention. There's something going on down here. There's something going on down here. You saw that visual trigger. It made the old gray matter spark. Now,
Well, also it could be that the cops don't want you to slow down.
well, that's
They want you to get caught because that means money.
yeah, that yeah, that's where the public comes in, and that's certainly where this individual, whoever this individual was that put the sign up originally, that's where their mind was. That this is a problem. It needs to be addressed. Uh, it's very shady, underhanded by the police to do something like this. We found out about this, so we made the sign, put the sign out there, and well, it actually got some results, more results than any sort of like a system of enforcement and punishment. Sometimes people will do the right thing uh, if you give them some forewarning. So sometimes people who would otherwise do the right thing, they don't know that they're entering a situation where a right call needs to be made, and if they don't have the time to make the right call, then they're not going to make the right call. So people who would otherwise make the right call aren't given a fair shot to make the right call, and they get caught in a speed trap.
Yeah, that's how it happened in Waldo, but they were doing it so that they could meet their quotas.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing.
And because they're still part of Alachua County, an Alachua County judge because someone petitioned against it. They were like, look, I was going exactly the speed and they still pulled me over claiming I was going 5 over. Well, what they had done was recalibrated their speed guns.
Yeah. 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 When first you practice to deceive, what a twisted web you weave, or something like that. I can't remember. I just woke up, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that.
You have now.
But yeah, it's when that deceptive mindset is the one that they start off with, then it doesn't really get much better after that. So what are you playing tonight there, Kel?
Now it's Assassin's Creed 3 because I finished Turn Washington Spies, and I was curious about how many characters appeared in the game. So far, I'm at 3, but one of the cast from Turn voiced one of the characters in Assassin's Creed 3. So I guess 3.5.
I never really got into the series.
Which one?
Assassin's Creed.
It's pretty good. The fans want them to make an Assassin's Creed game set in Japan, and for some reason, Ubisoft refuses to do so. Like they've gone to France, America, Italy, Egypt. Closest thing we got to Japan was China, and they made that a side scroller.
Hey, well, it's their studio.
Yeah, well, there's a demand for Assassin's Creed Japan.
They probably tried to get legal rights to be able to do it, and were told no.
What do you mean legal rights to do it?
To use
certain
information about Japan, you need legal rights.
And there's certain like if you look at some of the earlier ones, there was a lot of like architectural information about certain places, and interestingly enough, their 3D model of the Notre Dame Cathedral is going to be used by the people that are going to restore it, because
it's used from Assassin's Creed Unity.
Yeah, because it was down to the brick accurate.
I think in Assassin's Creed Unity, like that was the entirety of Paris at the time. You could tour the every square inch of Paris in that game.
So I imagine there would be that level of detail that is paid attention to in whatever they would do as far as any sort of sequel set in Japan. And I don't know if there's local laws that there's local hoops that you got to jump through in order to do that, and Ubisoft was unwilling to do that. I can only speculate, though.
Then again, any country can be like, no.
I don't know.
Japan's
sketchy.
very picky about their history being used.
So are you reading articles ahead of time, or what's
No,
going on?
I have one pulled up. I've been waiting.
Okay.
All right, I had been trying to read an article related to this one. This is an update. Cassowary that killed its 75-year-old owner to hit the auction block. The large
Sounds like
flightless bird that attacked and killed its 75-year-old owner in Florida earlier this month can now be yours for the right price. The killer cassowary, along with dozens of other dangerous and endangered animals owned by Marvin, I can't pronounce this. Six, you might be able to. Hajos.
Hajos.
Yeah.
That's Ajos.
Okay. I'm just going to call him Marvin. Before his death, is up for auction this Saturday by Gulf Coast Livestock in Madison, Florida. The animals are being sold in accordance with the wishes of Marvin, whose cassowary attacked him after he took a spill on his farm in Alachua County. My understanding is that the gentleman was in the vicinity of the bird and that at some point fell. When he fell, he was attacked, the deputy said. The sales auctioneer, Scotty Wilson, says they expect about 100 people from across the county to attend Saturday. The media, however, are not welcome. Anyone seen videotaping in any capacity will be deemed trespassing and will be escorted out by security. Your video equipment may or may not be confiscated until the video recordings are destroyed. Please do not compromise our position. Damn, that means I can't go and record it. Well over 100 people are up for auction, including 2 adult cassowaries, 5 ring-tailed and ruffled lemurs, 26 marmosets, an emu, and a slew of macaws. The International Union for Conservation of Nature Red List classifies lemurs as critically endangered. According to the San Diego Zoo, the cassowary is considered the most dangerous bird in the world.
Yeah, they got a mean streak to them.
Each 3-toed foot has a dagger-like claw on the inner toe that is up to 4 inches long. The cassowary can slice open any predator or potential threat with a single swift kick. Powerful legs help the cassowary run up to 31 miles per hour through dense forests and underbrush. Well, now we know what the velociraptor turned into.
Doubt it. Velociraptors from America.
There were velociraptors all over when it was still Pangea.
Don't think it was Pangea by Cretaceous.
Regardless, we know what it turned into because those are the same statistics for a velociraptor. Cassowaries are native to Australia and New Guinea and are most closely related to the emu. They can stand up to 6 feet tall and jump nearly 7 feet straight up into the air and swim like a champ. So the bird is quite good at fending off threats or escaping danger. At the time of his death, Marvin was breeding the birds, which are sought after by exotic animal collectors. Because he was keeping the birds for agricultural purposes, he did not need to have the license otherwise required by Florida law to personally house the birds. Marvin did not and was not required to have a license to own the cassowaries because of an agriculture exemption in the captive wildlife rule, which states that if the radite is being used for breeding or ranching or propagation purposes for agricultural use, that a Class 2 permit is not required, according to Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation. Cassowaries are defined as Class 2 wildlife in Florida, as they can pose a danger to people. Substantial experience with and specific cage requirements must be met. Permits are required for public exhibition, sale, or personal possession of Class 2 wildlife. According to Wilson, everyone who attends his auction is required to pre-register and possess a captive wildlife license or permit. Kepler would not go into detail about any enforcement actions that are or are not in place for regulating the sale. We wouldn't tell you what our captive wildlife investigators plan on doing in order to make sure that Florida's captive wildlife rules and regulations are being followed. We do monitor the possession and ownership of captive wildlife in Florida to ensure that illegal possession does not occur. He added that the sale of captive wildlife to and from properly licensed individuals is not prohibited in Florida. When asked if attendees would be warned of one of the birds has killed a man, Wilson assured that full disclosure would be made.
Yeah, given they're probably not going to destroy the bird because if it's
it's endangered, they can't.
Yeah. But yeah, cassowaries, they're pretty mean. It's something you certainly don't. If you don't know what you're doing, then it's like owning about any dangerous exotic pet. You are getting yourself into something that, well, hey, you take the risk, and that's that's what you get. The kitty cat is wanting to sit up on my lap, so I'm just gonna mute here for a second.
Alrighty. Trying to look for any other Florida stories. All right, restaurant employee tipped herself hundreds at a time with prepaid credit cards. Asheville, North Carolina. An employee at a North Carolina restaurant collected more than a dozen tips of more than $100, in one case $500, but not because of exceptional service, according to police. Leah Marie Werman, 25, faces 14 felony counts of obtaining property under false pretense after police say she obtained $3,734.28 through tips from a restaurant in Asheville. None of the 14 counts involved customers' money, according to Asheville Police Department. She said investigators believe Werman was using prepaid Visa cards that she was purchasing with her own money and putting extravagant tips on. According to her arrest warrants, which were served late last week, Werman charged excessive tips to 14 separate credit cards, ranging from $59.16 to $539.58. All but one tip was over $100. Police did not list in warrants when the alleged fraudulent tips were charged. Werman charged the tips knowing that the cards didn't have the amount of funds available, according to arrest warrants. Investigation into the matter is still ongoing. Representatives from the restaurant were unable to comment on the matter. Werman was released on a $50,000 bond.
Yeah, opportunism is something that has many faces and many forms. In one instance, it's a guy with cop car lights in his SUV trying to get through traffic, and then there's another opportunist who's using prepaid credit cards to commit fraud. Is there more to the story?
Nope, that's it. I'm looking for another one.
And Kelt's playing the Assassin's Creed.
I've actually got it paused right now.
I think the weather is coming in, so I'm already starting to get stuffy. It'll be an interesting night. So it's interesting sound.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's too much else going on.
We got Michael Hatfield in the chat. How you doing,
I
Michael?
saw that. So let's see. 3 more days, and Pat's gonna be here.
Cool.
So tomorrow I'm cleaning up the living room.
My customer on Facebook goes, so I scheduled an
We're
appointment.
live.
I don't know. But I have viewers from Facebook.
No, we don't.
How do you know?
Because most of them have their city and state posted on their Twitter.
So I made an appointment.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Okay. Wow. So I'm currently looking up stuff because I'm in the middle of a Photoshop project where I'm creating various works for this, that, and the other. Yes, it's not altogether all that interesting, at least not.
Someone found a new definition for AOC.
What's that?
Ambition over constituents.
I see. I must blow my nose now.
Shall I play the sound of an elephant trumpeting its trunk?
Why?
Because that's generally how people sound when they're blowing their nose, is like an elephant. Let's see what's going on Twitter news-wise.
When I blow my nose, it's generally described as that of being sort of like a goose honking.
Brunei cites cultural diversity as reason it should be allowed to stone gay people to death.
Wait, what?
It's some Muslim country, the kingdom. They recently brought back capital punishment for gays.
And the justification that they cited was cultural diversity.
Yep.
Wow.
That's not a good reason.
Yep.
They've also said that they're trying to preserve the sanctity of marriage and family heritage.
Again, not a good reason.
They actually sent a letter to the EU.
Interesting. Wow. Well, like I said, opportunism. It takes many forms. That of an individual trying to get through traffic more easily by pretending to be a police officer, a woman committing fraud using prepaid credit cards, and an entire country that cites diversity and inheritance traditions as a justification for killing people with rocks.
Pretty much. Valerie Bertinelli celebrates her 60th birthday. Then
Oh,
again, I
wow.
saw something else that said she's only 59.
Who's 59?
Valerie Bertinelli.
She was married to Eddie Van Halen.
I don't know either of those people.
You don't know who Eddie Van Halen is?
No.
Lead
Yeah.
singer for Van Halen, the band.
He wasn't the singer, he was the guitarist.
Oh, the guitarist. Okay, still, Van Halen.
I remember a Val Hallen.
Van Halen. It's not Halen, it's Halen.
Oh wait, no, that Val Hallen was the Thor knockoff from Dexter's Lab.
Yeah, and the name was a takeoff of Van Halen. That's why they called him Val Halen. It was a joke. It was a it's a
It was
takeoff.
also a play on Valhalla.
Yeah, that's why the Thor character was a guitarist.
Mm-hmm.
Shirley Temple would have been 91 years old today.
Wait, why guitarist instead of a singer?
Because the band was named after the guitarist, not the singer.
Oh, I thought she said it was he was the lead singer.
Well, there was a time when, bands put whoever brought the people together, they would name the band after them.
Oh.
Yeah, and in this case, it was the Van Halen brothers, and they started with, as most bands do, started out with a number of different lead singers until they settled on David Lee Roth, and he was their lead singer until the late 1980s when they started getting creative differences, and then they picked up Sammy Hagar, and they were with him for a little while until they got creative differences with him, and then they picked up what's his face from Extreme, or I think that was Extreme. I can't remember. Then they had him for just a little while. Then they went back and forth between Hagar and David Lee Roth. Though Sammy Hagar did have quite quite a few hits with Van Halen. I'm still, David Lee Roth is still, his stuff with Van Halen was what I think is far more superior as far as just the sound of it. It's far more iconic, in my opinion. But that's just me.
There's this interesting thing on Twitter about Shirley Temple and her life. The remarkable career of Shirley Temple. When she died, she was living in Russia. She had married a man that was a diplomat, and she became the American ambassador to Russia. And her last name, her name at the time of her death was Shirley Temple Black.
She'd been doing sort of an ambassadorship for a while. UN ambassador to.
Apparently, she ended up with breast cancer. So after that, she encouraged women to give themselves breast exams when it wasn't very popular to do so. She encouraged women to stand up for their own health care and take control.
Yeah.
So I'm going to post the link to the tweet in the side chat, as well as in the show chat, so that people can see it. I find it rather interesting. I grew up watching Shirley Temple.
I don't think I ever really watched anything with. No, maybe I did.
And
The best movie that Shirley Temple was in was Fort Apache with
She was in Little Princess, um, which is actually my favorite, The Little Princess. Captain January. Hold on, let me pull up IMDb.
she was in a movie with John Wayne in Fort Apache. Hello?
I'm
Hello?
here.
I'm fairly certain I don't think I've ever seen anything with her in it. I've seen a lot of clips of her in stuff that she's been in,
Yeah.
but I don't think I've seen anything that she's actually been in.
Okay. I'm going to go from the beginning of her career all the way back. She officially retired from acting at the age of 22, although she went back in the late 50s, early 60s to do Shirley Temple's Storybook Hour. All right, War Babies, 1932 short. The Pie Covered Wagon, Runt Page, Red Haired Alibi, uh, Kid's Last Stand, What's to Do, To the Last Man, The Kid's Last Fight, Polly Tricks in Washington. She did a lot of shorts as a little kid, wearing diapers and shit like that. Um, Out All Night. She played the child as Shirley Jane Temple. Merrily Yours, Kid in Hollywood, Kid in Africa. I used to have that one. Uh, Glad Rags to Riches, Dora's Dunkin' Donuts, Stand Up and Cheer, Pardon My Pups, Now and Forever, Now I'll Tell, uh, Mandalay, Managed Money, Little Miss Marker, Change of Heart, Carolina, Bright Eyes. That was a good movie. Baby Take a Bow, As the Earth Turns, The Littlest Rebel, The Little Colonel, Our Little Girl, Curly Top. That was another good one. I think that's the one where she sings On the Good Ship, Lollipop. Poor Little Rich Girl, Dimples, Captain January. I love that one. Wee Willie Winky. She did a version of Heidi. I used to have that one. Alibaba Goes to Town. Rebecca of Sunnybrook. That was another good one. Little Miss Broadway. Just Around the Corner. The Little Princess. My favorite. Susanna of the Mounties. Young People. Bluebird. Kathleen. Miss Annie Rooney. Since You Went Away. I'll Be Seeing You. Kiss and Tell. The Bachelor and the Bobby Soxer. That Hagen Girl, Honeymoon, Fort Apache, The Story of Seabiscuit, that's the original, Mr. Belvedere Goes to College, Adventure in Baltimore, Kiss for Corliss, Shirley Temple's Storybook, 1958 series, and The Red Skeleton Hour. She was a debutante, episode 1, 1963. And that's when she retired. But she ended up going into politics.
Yeah. I think she was an ambassador for somewhere in Africa.
She became the ambassador for Russia.
Oh.
She was very well respected over there. She married an ambassador who had come here during a summit. And of course, this is after either she divorced her first husband or he died. But she fell in love, and she moved to Russia and became an American ambassador over there.
But you said Curly Top was one where she sang "The Good Ship."
Curly Top, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that was it because she was singing that on a plane.
Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't look like.
They were taxiing around the runway because it was her birthday.
Yeah, I'm not. Doesn't look like Curly Top was one with the planes. Because the plot starts off with her being in an orphanage.
No, I think that's the right one.
No, she lost her mom during the movie. It's hard to be in an orphanage if your mom's still alive. It's Bright Eyes.
Bright Eyes? Okay.
Yeah, her mom was killed in a traffic accident. She was run over. Says, when Luke hears about this, he takes Shirley up in an airplane.
Oh. So anyone else got any other news in their area?
No, Alabama seems to have been quiet.
Feel better, Six?
You
I
see,
think
this
you
is
need-
why I post Christmas music for an entire month. Because the short pants crowd loves their warmth and their sunlight and all that other crap. And clamor whenever, oh, it's getting warmer. Well, shit, it's getting warmer. I know what that means. Shit's gonna bloom. I'm gonna breathe that shit in. And then I'm gonna be sneezing that shit out. Oh, speaking of merchandise, I also have a Marchmas shirt on my same TeePublic. So, if anybody wants a bit of wants to wear their Marchmas cheer, then they can do that too. And no, I'm not going to sing the song because it's April.
April Fools.
Oh gosh. Yeah, there's not a lot going on apart from the anticipation for what is essentially the biggest movie of the year, which will be premiering in about 2 days.
Oh, Endgame?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna be seeing Endgame Saturday with some friends.
I honestly think there's supposed to be new Godzilla coming out.
Yep. Next month.
That I want to see.
Shortly after my birthday.
But the thing is I can't go to a theater. I get migraines.
Yeah,
Well,
it's looking to be really good.
They have of course they have Blu-ray and DVD and Netflix for be there.
There's some kind of strange aircraft in that movie. I'm just gonna call it the Super X until someone confirms otherwise.
Yeah, there's it's the Monarch builds these advanced aircraft.
Yeah, like kind of looks like a B-2 bomber.
Mhm.
I don't know aircraft like you two do.
Well, the Super X is a
So
basically a kaiju attack aircraft from the second series of Godzilla. There have been 3 different models. Super X
yeah,
is most famous from Godzilla 1985, where they try to trank him.
they're using these cadmium.
Yeah, cadmium shells.
And it 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 works sorta
Oh, it
until
worked for a while, but lightning struck him.
yeah
He was thunderstruck.
the Russian missile is detonated in the
Yeah, it
atmosphere.
ionized the air over the city.
Yeah, my brother's a nut for Godzilla. I mean, damn, the boy had a iguana he named Godzilla.
Yeah, though, if I still had it today, I would have renamed it to Zilla.
Yeah. I actually have a Blu-ray copy of the Japanese version of Godzilla 1985. And yes, at some point you do see the wires on the planes.
I never noticed the wires.
That's because you've only seen probably low quality VHS rips.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there was VHS did have have its advantages, particularly in some like practical effects.
Yeah, I wonder if that's why I never noticed the wires in Jurassic Park. Because they use wires to pull the frills of the Dilophosaur, and
Mhm.
I never noticed it until Nostalgia Critic pointed it out in his review.
Yeah. So normally you just kind of gloss that over in your mind, but with Blu-ray, you get higher resolutions,
Yeah,
and you see things like that. That's why more digital effects are a lot more common in movies that are not really special effects heavy,
hmm
but they just use them to cover up uh, certain things.
yeah. I remember when Blu-ray was new. I remember seeing this comic, like one of those newspaper comics, and it was this guy who was really excited about the Blu-ray, saying he was watching a football game. He's like, "I can see every blade of grass." I think they should have changed to where I can see the strings on the airplanes in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked Godzilla as a kid. I still like him now. It's just I'm not as like obsessed.
I've seen every movie of Godzilla and Gamera. I binge watched those movies because it was before the Godzilla versus Gamera. Uh, who was it? Death Battle. I want to see who would. I want to see every movie to see if I can figure out who would win. And I was right. Godzilla kicked Gamera's ass.
Yeah. So Gamera was kind of like It wasn't even really the Pepsi to Godzilla's Coke. He was
He was
kind of
made to be Godzilla's commercial rival.
yeah, but it was from a studio with like a quarter of the budget.
Yeah.
I've seen both the original Japanese version and the later Americanized version of Gamera.
Wait, I Americanized version?
Yeah, there were two versions of the original Gamera.
Oh, I thought you were talking about there was an American-made Gamera movie.
No, no. Americanized is they take the original footage and they add and delete stuff.
Yeah, like what they did in Godzilla King of the Monsters and Godzilla 1985.
Yeah,
Because like the American reporter was never in those movies in the Japan version.
right. Raymond Burr was not in the original Japanese 1954 version, but the 1956 Americanized version, we get Raymond Burr.
Yeah. Wait, in the Japanese version?
What's that?
You mean he was in the Japanese version of the 1985?
Yeah, they brought him back for the Americanized version of the
Yeah.
Godzilla
Yeah, I knew.
1984.
I eventually found out it was the same guy, even though they didn't look at all the same. Amazing what time will do to you.
Yeah, it was the same character.
Yeah, and same actor.
Hmm.
Oh, by the way, did you know that in the first Godzilla movie there was nudity in it?
Yeah, there was it was the scene where Godzilla is traipsing around that island village, if I'm not mistaken.
Nope. Like I think it was Japanese officials were talking to these island survivors, and you see these elderly women behind the men, and they're topless. And I never noticed that every time I saw that movie, and it's in the Americanized version too.
Hmm. The original Japanese version was a lot more brutal.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of death scenes that were edited out that are actually kind of yeah, they're really there's one scene in particular where Godzilla is peering over the top of a building and sees this woman uh, crouching in a corner, and in the Americanized version, you just hear her scream, and it cuts to Godzilla's face moving around. But in the original Japanese version, oh, he vaporizes her.
I need to watch the Japanese version.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, it's better.
Mm-hmm. But there was actually two more Godzilla movies that had nudity in them. It was Godzilla versus Megalon.
Yeah, that was one
The
of my
truck that
favorites
was
actually.
hijacked apparently had porn magazines on the back, like in the cabin on the back wall.
Hmm.
Never noticed it. Then there was Terror of Mechagodzilla, the last of the Heisei series.
Yeah.
The cyborg lady. They in the Japanese version only they showed her operating and she was topless for the operation, but that was actually a mannequin that they were showing.
Hmm.
They took that out in the American version.
Yeah. That's the one where they brought in the dinosaur
Yeah,
thing.
Titanosaur, which is a
Titan-
real dinosaur species name.
Yeah, it had the tail that would fan out and make
Hmm.
the whirlwinds. Yeah, I haven't seen that in a long time.
I've only seen it once.
It's an interesting story about the first time I saw it. It was late at night, and it was one of those. It was either summer to fall or spring to summer. One of one of those times, and my backyard was inexplicably, and for years I tried to find the source of where these things came from, because they never really showed up again after that. But my entire backyard was inundated with hundreds, if not thousands, of inchworms. And not little inchworms either. These were big ass inchworms. And they had found a way to get into the house because there was one of those air conditioners, wall window unit air conditioners, and there was a space just under it that they were getting in, and not just a few of them. I mean, dozens of these things were getting in. So I spent the first time watching that movie picking those things off the walls, off the floor, off the ceiling, putting them in the jar, and throwing them back outside. And I did that for a few hours, well into the second viewing of it, because I'd rented the VHS of this movie, and finally I tracked down the damn duct tape. So found the duct tape, carved up the hole, problem solved. So that the moral of the story here is always know where your damn duct tape is, because you never know when you're going to get attacked by an inchworm invasion while you're trying to watch Terror of Mechagodzilla. Because there might be some details you'll miss. Anyhow, that's my Terror of Mechagodzilla story and the inchworm invasion.
And the inchworm invasion.
Yeah, it's
Give an inch and they take a mile.
Yeah, they took several miles actually, because there was a lot of the damn things, and I never did figure out where the fuck they came from. They just seemed to emerge out of nowhere. As the sun went down, as it was getting dusk, they'd start appearing, and I never could find the source of where they were coming from. It was really strange, because it really only happened then that there was just this mass of inchworms. I had never seen them before, and I didn't see them since. It was just that one year. So after the first time it happened, for days I tried to find out where they were staying during the day. Because just all of a sudden they just started appearing. Inexplicable. It was like they were like emerging from some sort of like rip in reality. Very odd.
Well,
So who's vacuuming?
no, that's my fan blowing on my laptop.
Okay.
And the fan of the laptop trying to work. So, I'm tired, so we're gonna go ahead and kill it.
Okay.
All right.
Do you have anything to chill, Six?
I do. If you go to my TeePublic, which you'll find, I posted something on Twitter today, so you'll find that on my Twitter, chilling my Twitter as well. So yeah, I have a new T-shirt design, and the T-shirt design is one that I came up with as my way of tipping my hat and showing appreciation to anybody and everybody who's ever worked long hours and has found themselves watching the clock, and it really sucking for them, because that sort of thing, it just sucks, because time just has its way of working differently in your mind where you think it's a lot later than it actually is, and when you finally look at the clock and say, "Holy shit, it is far too late. It is too late to be this early." And that's the shirt. It has a picture of a clock with my avatar in the middle, and the words, "It's too early. It's too late to be this early." So that's my token of appreciation for everyone that works long hours. And you can find that on my TeePublic, which has been posted on my Twitter. You can spend your hard earned cash on something important, or you can buy a T-shirt. I leave that up to you. My hat is tipped to all of you, either way. And I have Marchmas stuff too. So if you want if you want to celebrate Marchmas, even though it's April, I know I've been sneezing my ass off. You can show your Marchmas cheer and buy a Marchmas T-shirt, along with all my other designs. So whatever, it's up to you.
All right, and I'm Harrison. You can find me on pretty much any social media. On Facebook, it's Ambrosia Lock. That's Lock with an E at the end. I have a Redbubble. I might make a TeePublic. I don't know yet. Six made me a kick-ass new logo, so that's probably going to go on some shirts. So go check it out. Buy it. I need money. All right, everybody. Have a good night.
Bye.
Take it easy.